time to go. Yay! Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. And as Shar is just reminding you, welcome to Super Bowl Sunday. If that's the thing, I have no idea if that's the thing. Anyway, I'm going to introduce Shar in just a few moments, but before I do, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed this week. Well, numbers are definitely going up. That's great. Thank you so much. Every subscription, I really do appreciate it. I just want to give a shout out to Jen and Sylvia Suska's Women in Horror Month Blood Drive public service announcements. Where are we now with the 4th? So I think 4 films have gone out so far. Yeah, with the 4th of February. So if you're not friends of Jen and Sylvia on Facebook, check them out. Some really lovely short films made all about supporting donation of blood. Obviously a very important topic. And mine is actually coming along now. I've actually built the second set for mine. Obviously it was supposed to be delivered before before February. It's going to be finished this week with any luck, in the next couple of days. So I'm working away, beavering away, and having some great fun, so that you'll be able to see my contribution, which is called Kirby, a Hero. So yeah, that's coming out. So because it's Women in Horror Month, I thought we'd kick off with a wonderful woman, a lovely, lovely lady. Hi, Shar.
Hello, Nicholas. How are you today?
I'm very well. Obviously very giggly, but
Me too.
That's nothing unusual for this show. How are you doing?
I'm doing just well today, enjoying Super Bowl Sunday, which is a big thing here in the States.
It is a big, yes, yeah.
Enjoying it in my own way.
Yeah.
Spending time with you, which is
chatting
what I like
with friends. Chatting with people.
Yeah.
Now, just so that, for those who are not familiar with Shar and her work, just over Shar's right shoulder, left shoulder, as you look at the screen, is a poster for a documentary, called Haunters. Yeah, Shar's pointing. Actually, if I click on Shar's image, you can see it. It's just there. Haunters, Jon Schnitzer's documentary on the art of the scare, which Shar appears in. And this is where I first came across Shar, and Jon was on the show a couple of weeks back, talking about the documentary. Check that out; it's really fascinating. So. Tell me before we start talking about Haunters, Shar, and you have got to tell me about a project you are working on called Hollywood Baby Doll, which sounds wonderful.
Thank you, Nicholas. Yeah, it's a new film that I'm working on. It's a psychological thriller about a spoiled rich kid from Los Angeles, and she takes an online challenge, and it turns her into a serial killer. No, it's produced. It's by 13-3 Entertainment, and the director, being we're in Women in Horror Month, is a lovely lady named Shar Sherry, and she's a woman who's also worked in horror films too. Producers are Jacob by Z. I'm sorry, Jacob. By Z. Right, and Chris Morrissey, and it's an exciting project. I'm just about to start working on it. I love the idea of working with a woman director, and something else is really neat. It's the first time I'm going to be working in film with my daughter Rosie, who's also an actress, and she also is on this film. So we're both excited. I'm thrilled to be working with her. I've worked with her in live haunted events, but never in film, so this will be a first for us.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, this is obviously an acting gig, but this is not how you first started out, is it, as an actress? Is that right? You started out in haunts?
Yeah, I started out in haunts and live horror theater. I started out doing home haunts, which is when you do a haunted house at your house, not at my house, but at my friend's house. And then that brought me to, she stopped doing it. So then I started looking for other haunts because I loved haunting, and started working haunted mazes, haunted shows. I worked in haunted hayrides. I started getting into like doing special effects makeup so I can do my own makeup because back in the 80s, haunts didn't really have much makeup. People were just putting on rubber masks. and brought me to working at extreme haunts and theatrical haunts. I worked 15 years at Knott's Scary Farm, 10 of them on Ghost Town streets. I was doing a reoccurring character there. I've also worked at extreme haunts like Blackout and the 17th Door, which is the one I was currently working at, which is both a extreme haunt and a theatrical haunt blended together. And from doing haunting, I've gotten roles on TV shows and films, and it's a different way of coming to being working in the industry, but really interesting and really fun, and it is where my heart is. I love haunting. I love meeting other haunters, and being in Jon's film, Haunters, The Art of the Scare, has been a great opportunity for me because I've got to chat with people from all across the country and hopefully soon all across the world about haunting and what it is to be a haunter.
Okay, so that's very okay. So I'm going to unpick a few things from that, if I may. Okay, I'm in England. Now I've been to Universal Studios Halloween nights. I was lucky because I was with a mate of mine who had passes, so we went to the front of all the queues, so we got round all the thing. But my experience of these things is being chased around with him tickling me from behind, so
it's a fun way.
Yeah, it's a fun way of doing it. So let's go. Okay, so home haunts, this is basically part of the and forgive me if you're American for belaboring this point. So this is basically people just turn their houses into an attraction on Halloween. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works. Some people let people into their garage. Some people let people into their house. Some people build things on their driveway and have these haunted mazes. I mean, when I started, it was very basic. We used cardboard walls. Nowadays, you won't even believe some of the home haunts that people do. They look like professional Hollywood sets. I'm just overwhelmed by the amount of work that people that do home haunts do.
Right.
There is a home haunt that's in the documentary that I did called Haunters. And it's this guy, Donald Juleson, who does Nightmare on Elm Street. Holy cow. I can't believe the work he puts into his home haunt. And seriously, it's for one night. He builds all year long, does his haunt, scares everybody. People come from all over. And then that's it. Then he disassembles it. And it's a hobby. He's trying to move into a professional, more of a professional career. He's done professional stuff with prop making, and he's looking to get into something else. But a lot of people who do home haunts just do it for their love of Halloween. And I think that's really, really cool.
It's fascinating. So you how do you describe yourself? As a haunter actor? How do you describe yourself?
I'll take anything. I usually say I'm a monster because I am a monster. Monster knows monsters. But the term haunter generally refers to people who are working at haunts, who build haunts, who go to haunts, just a general term.
Right.
People that are performers like myself, they call us haunt actors, haunt actors, monsters, any of those talent sometimes. But I'm all of those things. I'm fine with any kind of label you want to put on me. Just come and enjoy what I'm doing, scream and laugh and have a great time.
And you said you'd done this at your friend's house. What can you remember the theme, or was it, how old were you when you first started?
Like a young teenager. And
right.
It was, I think it was for the Boy Scouts. It might have been the Girl Scouts. I don't remember. But it was, one of those things where you'd put up cardboard walls and you put your hands through and you'd feel like grapes and they'd be eyeballs, or spaghetti and they'd be, what was spaghetti? Brains maybe, or Jello. Jello was brains. And then at the end, you'd do a pop out scare, and we put a coffee can with a skull in it and a string on it, and people would see the coffee can and we'd pull the string and the skull would jump up, and that was enough to scare people back in the 70s. Nowadays they're so sophisticated. People have got electronics, air pressured monsters that move, drop panels, professional makeup, professional costumes. I mean, it's amazing what you could see at a home haunt.
Right, and you said that you got into doing your own SFX makeup. How did you what sort of stuff did you use in those days?
Oh, I got a book, Rick Baker's Monster Maker book back in the 70s, late 70s. And it's like that was my Bible. And I bought some liquid latex and some cotton. Blah, I'm a monster. And just from working on that, I mean, zombies, I'm kind of known like for doing a lot of different zombie stuff because I've been doing that so long and that's so much fun to do. I love doing zombies. Um, now I teach a course on basic makeup or basic zombies. I have a class that's called Quick and Easy, just like me. Uh, it's a way to do makeup at a Halloween haunt or a smaller event that's low budget and could just move your look of your haunt out from just wearing plastic masks to actually bringing it up to the next level without spending a lot of money because money is always budgeting is
Yeah.
really hard on home haunters. They just use their own money and then they produce something. Usually there's no fees to go on home haunts. Sometimes they collect money for charities or canned goods or something like that. But they do it just out of the love of haunting. And that's like a big thing for me.
Right, 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 right. And do you teach this class in person locally, or is it online, or?
I have. I've taught it locally. I'm currently working on trying to put together a YouTube series
Uh-huh.
so that I could share some of the things that I've been teaching. It's just an easier and quicker way for me to show people things that I do and how to do it for free because YouTube's great like that,
Hmm.
and just be able to share and help new people and young hunters coming up and getting into it and trying to change it from a hobby into a profession because that's another thing. I meet a lot of people that are at that point too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you're obviously very passionate and really love this
Oh,
stuff. What
I do.
what is it, how come you became, what is it that you really love about it? Just what do you find so attractive in doing the haunting? What keeps you coming back year after year?
Well, it's live theater. You are performing for someone. You're interacting in a one-on-one, usually one-on-one way where you're hitting somebody really deep in their mind. You're connecting with them emotionally, whether they're going to laugh or they're going to scream or they're going to cry or whatever their reaction is. You're the one that's causing that. They get an adrenaline burst and so do the actors. Probably we get it 4 times. It's very addicting. People who have haunted before in the past know exactly what I'm talking about. The adrenaline rush that we get when we see somebody go from a stone face to just screaming at us or falling down or whatever their reaction is. We just all dig it, and it's really fun for me. And like I said, a lot like live theater, it's different doing film and TV because you don't have that immediate reaction from who you're working with. So of course, I love live events. Most do, but any way where I can reach people is great for me.
Yeah, yeah. We've got our first question coming in from a viewer, Matthew Solomon. He says, I have a question for Shar, kind of related to Haunters, the documentary. What is your stance on what is too far or too extreme in regard to haunts? He says that personally he finds a lack of a safe word a bit disturbing. What are your thoughts on this? And we know if you watch the documentary, you'll soon work out what we're talking about. But
Hi,
what's your
Matthew.
yeah.
Thanks for the question. I worked at Blackout. Has a safe word. It's an extreme haunt. The first extreme haunt is fantastic. If you ever get a chance to do it, do it. I work at the 17th door, also an extreme haunt. Both of them have safe words. Of course, you want to have a safe word because if not, you're kidnapping people.
Yeah.
I'm not into doing that. I'm into performing. I'm into letting people have a fun time, face their fears, but I'm not a sadist. I enjoy interacting with my guests, scaring my guests. If they had enough, they had enough. Goodbye. You want to leave? You can leave. The show I do at the 17th door, we have a safe word. It's mercy. If you say mercy, you could skip the room or you can leave, whatever you want to do. But while we've got you, till you break, we're going to play with you. We're going to do all sorts of crazy things. When you're done, you're done. I don't see the point in doing anything without letting people have an out. And just to let you know, I recently did a panel at HauntCon with Russ, who's in the film, who does McKinney Manor. That's probably the person he's speaking of, because he was the only one that I knew of that didn't have a safe word. And he is now including a safe word in his haunt, if I understood what he was talking about. So that was something that he told Jon at HauntCon. I was really happy to hear that, because I just don't want people hurt. It's a fun kind of, way to push the limits. But I mean, haunting is a fun way, and you push your limits. But without a safe word and giving the person the ultimate decision when they had enough. I mean, I've talked to people also that have gone through his haunt that are not happy and didn't realize right at the time. It took them a while. So yeah, I'm only for. I'm okay with extreme haunts. I love extreme haunts. Whatever you want to do, whatever level you want to go to, it's fine. But you really do have to give the guests. I mean, no one really wants to be tortured. I think you're into a different thing than haunts if you're getting into something like that. And I don't think it belongs in our business.
No.
My opinion.
No, and I have to say, entirely mine as well.
Okay, good. I think most sane people,
yeah.
But not everybody's opinion. And if that's what you want and you want to be tortured, I'm sure you can find some other places also to torture you too.
It's very. I mean, as far as I was concerned, having watched Haunters and McKamey Manor and so on, I'm just thinking, someone's going to die. Somebody's going to get really seriously hurt in that kind of situation. Inevitably, if there isn't a way out. And I think it's the thing about being on the roller coaster. Although hopefully you're not going to try and leap off the roller coaster before it ends, but it's going to end. It's only a finite thing. It's only going to be 5 minutes long or 3 minutes. It's only going to go for like 10 minutes or something like that. You watch everybody coming out.
Right.
You know exactly what it is you're letting yourself in for. That's interesting. What's your favorite?
But I have to say one thing. One of the things I really like about Haunters is it opens up that kind of discussion for people. People in our industry, most people did know or do know about Russ and what he was doing, and almost everybody is against what he's doing. So kudos to our haunters who were able to watch this movie and understand what it really is, that it's a documentary, and it's showing people what is going on and where is too far. Not everybody understood that's what this movie is. Mostly people in the industry, but I think people should really give it a good look, and you could see what was going on there, and make your own decision where you feel. The thing about Jon's movie is he steps out of making an opinion himself, and he just puts things out to you, and I really, really like that. And this is the number one thing that people want to discuss with me about how far is too far, and I think that's because of Jon's film and Haunters. And kudos to Jon for doing a fantastic job on that film. Just beautifully shot. And I know you had a long discussion with him. So.
Yeah, it is absolutely fascinating. And as I say, particularly for somebody, completely outside, as I say, we have nothing. Although more and more you are getting, it's coming over from America, and there are haunted farms. I think those have been running for about the last 5 years or so in this country.
Cool.
What you perhaps would describe as a haunted hayride, which I'm guessing is where you get put on the back of a flat truck and taken around various things. Yeah.
I worked that.
Movies.
Yeah, I've worked on those. I did one for 3 years when I lived in New York. And you put people on the back of a hayride, and you go around and you go through the fields, and you see different scenes, and the person on the hayride is telling you stories. So it's really fun. If you get a chance, you should take a trip out and go see a haunted hayride. I bet you'd like it.
Yeah, I think it sounds fun. I mean, as I say, me screaming my heart out at and if no one's heard the story before, we do know that I can actually scream louder than an entire row of 16-year-old girls. I have empirical proof of this because I went to see the play The Woman in Black for the first time, and I just screamed. I get so lost in things. I have to be very careful because it's like, getting to an age now where one thinks about heart conditions and so on, and you think,
Yeah, that's true.
I have to be very sensible about these things.
That's true.
Mike Xenia, Shar has already mentioned her next project, which is Hollywood Baby.
Hollywood Baby Doll.
Hollywood Baby Doll. Thank you very much indeed, which we mentioned at the top of the show. But we'll talk at the end of the show. We'll talk more about that. Yes, Matthew Solomon is just saying Haunters is fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Definitely caused me to look at my own view on a lot of things, as well as stirring up a conversation. Cool. All right. Well, we talked about Haunters, and it really is a wonderful documentary. If you haven't seen it, folk, I recommend it. What is your favorite? Actually, before, let's move on from Haunters for a bit. Let's talk about these women who I asked you to choose, to find 3 women who you found, women in horror, who you found inspirational. And let's start chronologically. I can't even speak. Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Hamilton.
Well, yeah. I tried to look, being it is Women in Horror Month, I'm trying to look for women that aren't victims, that are independent, strong, dominating. And I tried to look for women that are characters in makeup, because that's what I like to do. And there really isn't a werewolf, Frankenstein, Jason, Pinhead, Freddy. There isn't that really for women. There are no iconic women makeup style characters. And then I started thinking more and more, and I came up with Margaret Hamilton, who of course plays the Wicked Witch of the West. She's pretty iconic, I'd say, just because of like that fantastic laugh, seeing her in makeup. And if you look at the Wizard of Oz in a darker sense, which I tend to do even with general movies like that, I like to look at it in a different way. It's not about women arguing about shoes, which somebody has
well,
mentioned.
it is. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah, but it's about women and power. The witches and Dorothy, and where's the power and where's the power transfer. And the Wicked Witch of the West, she was a strong character. She commanded an army of the Winkies. She had the army of the Flying Monkeys. So she was a powerful woman. And it was written back in the 1899, I believe. And Wizard of Oz, was that right? Wizard of Oz was maybe 1900, like right around there. The movie itself came out in the 30s.
Yes.
MGM. Okay. Also, I believe it's the first time you have green witches, which has become iconic. Maybe Shakespeare mentioned it in The Tempest, but didn't really say green skin. But I think it's because Technicolor. Think about it. We think of witches like her.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? In The Tempest, you have Sycorax, who is the mother of Caliban, who is dead before the play starts. The 3 witches in Macbeth are just wise women. They're referred to as the 3 witches. They're referred to as hags.
Right.
I don't think any. That's probably very true. I think certainly in terms of becoming, the classic style of witch, that is, that's definitely it. And I think, funnily enough, I don't know if you're familiar with an author called Terry Pratchett, who does a very good, in his series of books, Discworld, has some very interesting, some really strong character witches. But that's very true about Mark. Yeah, about that.
So I mean, as iconic characters, I guess the real female iconic character is going to be a witch. And I just thought, I go back, I'm old school, so I go back all the way. It's like, she is, when we say witch, right away you think of the Wicked Witch of the West. I mean, you can say, oh, let's redesign the witch, but you always start with her as your model. I loved her performance. I like how she plays in the beginning part, the neighbor, Mrs. Gulch, Alma Gulch, I believe was her name.
Yeah.
And then she switches over. So she's still a witch in the beginning, or maybe she's more of a hag there, and
Yeah.
then turns into that magical witch. But it's a movie about women in power. I mean, if you think about that, all the characters in the movie that are the main characters, look, the wizard, who's the movie is named after, he's very weak. He's got no
It's
power.
a
He's
charlatan.
behind the scenes. He's a charlatan. Even when his balloon floats away, he says, I don't know how to work this. So, he's like this male figure that's idealized, but who are the real people in power? They're the witches, both the East and West, and
Yeah.
you Glenda too, who is a witch. So yeah, that's my first one, just because of when you say witch, the first thing you think of is her look. I don't think anybody else would think of anyone else.
No, that's very interesting. Have you seen Wicked, the musical?
12, 15 times. I'm a big musical person. I love that musical. That was great. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it a bunch of times, and I love what they did, and I love the actresses in it. I love the take that they did, but really, it's a reimagination of the original, and which is an adaptation of the books.
Well, also the story of Wicked was actually a novel
prequel, and it was a prequel.
Yes, it is a prequel. Well, interesting. Of course, L. Frank Baum wrote an awful lot of Oz books. It is a prequel. You're absolutely correct, but it was written in reaction to the Falklands War and the fact that Margaret Thatcher put a spin on what was going on in the Falklands.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the story of Wicked, the inspiration for Wicked is all about the manipulation of, and that old saying of, it's the winner writes the history. So it's so the whole, let's look at this from a completely different angle. What if? And I have to say, if we're talking about Wicked, I just have to say, shout out to Stephen Schwartz for those wonderful songs. Defying gravity and so on.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, show. So I mean, Wicked is and I've seen it twice. And amazing, absolutely. And I remember just thinking, oh wow, this is and as you say, that whole thing about being green and so on. And if you haven't seen the Wicked musical, they haven't actually filmed it, have they? They really should film Wicked.
They should film that. That would be really cool. I think it's still touring, and I think it's still pulling in enough money to prevent people from because once they make a film of a play, maybe with the exception of Chicago. I love Chicago. I'm sorry. I'm getting off on a tangent. I love musical theater.
I completely agree with you. Chicago, it's really funny because Chicago, I thought, was genius. How do you make it? How can you make a musical in modern age? Because musicals are corny in the 1980s. They're pure escapism.
They're corny, but I like it. I love.
Oh yeah, but the
but that was on a different level. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So yes, if you get the right person working on the project, and bring it up to a different level, because you can't just film a musical. It's boring. Well, not to me. I just love everything with theater, but for general public, you can't just film stuff and then people watch it that's on stage. It just doesn't make that translation. The same thing like in haunts and horror, bringing you around. There's nothing like that live experience.
Well, it's very interesting. I have to say, the director who did Chicago went on to do Into the Woods, and he destroyed what is the most wonderful stage musical as far as I'm concerned. I love Into the Woods more than
I love Into the Woods too, and I watched it. And if it's on
And I
TV
just
or
think
it's on something, I'd watch it again. But it wasn't.
it's
Yeah,
I can't. It's
I
just
didn't
like
realize he was the same guy that made Chicago. So
yeah,
wow,
it's sort of
that's
like,
a
well,
big
what
difference.
were you thinking? You obviously. Oh, I'm sorry, but I really, really just. It, I just recommend people go onto YouTube and find, funnily enough, the film version of the stage version,
Yeah.
because you'll discover there's a whole lot of humor there. It's storybook, and this is the power of, it's a musical about the power of story and the importance of story, and how that can twist lives. So yeah, I'm very disappointed. Right, we have two more questions come in before we move on to Ellen, your next woman in horror. The first one is from Fidel Vasquez. What role do you still seek to play, besides being known as playing as a zombie? What other role would you like to play?
Hi, Fidel. How's it going? Thanks for the question. Um, well, I would love to do a witch, or like I said, any iconic kind of female character in a film. That would be really cool. Idealistically, there is a character that I've never really seen done live, or I think it could happen and it would be really cool. Um, let's see. That would be maybe a character with lots of snakes in her hair.
Oh, right. Ray Harryhausen did her.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think at this point with, um, not do any claymation, but do it,
CGI.
CGI and
Yeah, yeah.
have like real snakes coming out of her hair. And, it doesn't have to be that specific character, but a character like that, a woman, like I said, a woman, and there's no films that I see today where women are in power and they're a powerful creation or monster, and that's really missing. And yeah, I would love to do anything like that.
It,
But
it's very, because I was thinking the only other kind of female monster who's possibly
tell me one. Tell me
well, I
one.
was just thinking Bride of Frankenstein.
Okay, so I thought about her,
Mm.
Liza,
Oh God. Something will.
Lancaster.
Yes, yes,
Lancaster.
yes.
But
Oh,
think
Elsa
about
Lancaster. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Elsa, that's right.
yeah.
She only comes in at the end. She's a sidekick. Even though the film's named after her, the actress actually plays Mary Shelley in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's not really about her. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, here it is at the end. It's about That's another Frankenstein movie, which it's Boris Karloff. He's freaking amazing.
Mm.
When you think of Universal horror monsters, you got your four, and then they add her in. Okay, let's put the woman in. Add her in. But as a woman in a film, being the character, where that's just not. You just don't see that.
No,
And I think that
no,
would be
no. I think
awesome thing to work on. Thank you for the question.
I think it's really interesting because, like, and again, apologies to those who had said before. Clive was thinking that Julia in Hellraiser
Mm-hmm.
really is the monster in that movie. And you see, perhaps would become an iconic female serial killer. But that wasn't to be. But it's very true. You don't find iconic. Yeah, there's a big hole there is a big gap in the market there. Michael Seat says film of Wicked is in production 2019. Director is Stephen Daldry. Brilliant.
Michael,
Stephen,
thank you. That's
thank
so
you.
cool. That's gonna be awesome.
I'm better not be disappointed. I'll be so upset.
We're buying some tickets, so thank you.
Okay, Des Aster, spelled D-E-Z in uppercase, A-S-T-E-R. Disaster. Hi, Disaster. Shar, who is your favorite haunter?
Hi, Disaster. Who's my favorite haunter? Let's see. I'm not exactly sure. You're talking about another person that I've worked with?
I think so. It sounds as if that's, or perhaps you said that haunter is a generic term that's for people who act in haunts,
people that
the
work
creators
in the industry,
of haunt, people who work in the industry, people who create haunts.
Well, John, who runs Universal Horror Nights, is just producing an amazing event. He's probably the top haunter in the world because of what he's doing for Universal. My daughter's a really good haunter. My daughter Rosie. Shout out. I'll get 2 points for that.
Yeah.
I have a really big haunt family, people that have worked with me, and uh, I've met recently just at going to different events and online. So, I have a lot of people that I think are fantastic. To single somebody out, like, uh, mm, I think some of the sliders in Ghost Town in Not Scary Farm do an amazing thing. I could never do anything like that. My friend who does the witch at Ghost Town, also at Not Scary Farm, she's been doing it for as long as I have, and she's doing the same character, and she just has a grace to her that's just beautiful. I like people that are really embracing their characters, finding where their haunting is inside them. And I think the most boring haunt is this. Boo. Pop-ups are like something that we've used, like we still use them. Uh, but I like when people find where their character is, embrace their character, and add on to it. Something I've been trying to encourage the past couple of years. I do mentoring for haunters. And I just think that the industry is about to really boom. It's really, we're like at our golden age of haunting, and we're just really taking off in the United States, especially. It's every state. There's haunts every city you go to. There's haunts. Like I said, it starts with amazing home haunts and goes to professional haunts. Everywhere you look, I travel a lot, so I try to get into haunts whenever I can. So
Oh,
there you go.
interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, that's a really good answer. I love the fact that it's um, expanding, and the fact that you do mentor
Yeah.
other haunters. So let's move on to your next choice, which
Okay.
is Ellen Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver in the Alien movies. Why did you choose an Ellen Ripley?
Well, again, with lack of a monster that
Mm,
I could choose, I said, let me look at women in horror movies that are strong, dominating, and positive, and take charge. I picked Ellen Rigby, Sigourney Weaver as Ripley. She's First of all, she starts off as one of the people in the crew. She
yeah.
doesn't start off as the main hero, but through different circumstances, she becomes the hero, and she grows, and she finds her inner strength, and just everything that happens is because of things that she's doing. She's the only one in the crew that says, okay, we got to follow the rules, we got to stay on protocol. And because of other people's mistakes, things happen. No spoilers if you haven't seen Alien, like come out of your rock. Uh, but
But hey,
specifically, spoilers, sure, of course.
yeah,
Uh, hello.
but it's
Um,
fine.
but
Yeah,
but yeah, but the thing that I really like, and I'm speaking specifically to the first movie, is the, again, we're talking women in horror, is the role reversal between the male and female parts. When it was written, there was no genders written for each character, so that she was just written as Ripley, just general, no male or female roles on it. And they decided to make her the hero, which is usually the male role, and then look at the other role that is in there. There's a male that is attacked, raped, dies during childbirth. I mean, all things that you generally will see happen to in a horror movie, maybe to a female. And here it is. They switched it around and they made her the hero. And I really think that's really cool. Besides the movie just being a cool visual movie, the way the ship is done, the way the art is done. I've also heard that Aliens described as a haunted house in space. So if you think about that, you're kind of like stuck in a small area. Things are happening to you as you're going through. It kind of does remind me of a haunt.
well, it's interesting because you remind me of Schneider's book Save the Cat, where he describes all horror movies as haunted house movies.
Ah,
It's yeah,
really?
because essentially most a lot of horror movies, you put people in an isolated position and there's a monster and they've got to escape the monster. So
Well,
this is yeah.
is it that way, or is it the other way? Because I think horror movies came way before haunted houses came. I think they're a
Interesting.
play off of them. If you go back to like the spook shows that were going on in the carnivals, maybe those are probably your first haunted houses. Came out way back in
Mm.
the maybe about the same time, like when carnivals were traveling around, they were doing things like that. Maybe they evolved independently, but they seem to be crossing over a lot, especially like you said, you went to Universal. That does use a lot of film mazes because
Yeah.
they get the rights, of course, and they're able to do, they take a film and they make a haunted house out of it. I just went to it this past year. I try to go when I can, and just amazing. Like they took Saw, the movie Saw, and they made it into a maze. And as you're going through, you feel like you're in the movie, and that's like a really cool thing. And you get all the effects of a haunted house where people are popping up and scenes are happening, and it's really fun. And you don't even have to like Saw, you just have to know what Saw is about to get it. And you start
Right.
walking through and you're like, oh, cool. Oh, this guy. Well, that's how I react when I go through a haunted house. Thinking, I'm looking at sets, I'm looking at acting, I'm looking how cool the scares are. And people scare me. Oh, believe me, they get me all the time. I'm really good when it comes to haunted house. I let my guard down and I'm just like, here we go. Come get me. And it's like, I love that. I don't understand haunters who walk through a house going, oh, you can't scare me, you can't scare me. Let your guard down, have fun, enjoy it. Just it's a good way to see how your victims react, how you feel, so you can play on the other side of it. So I always encourage haunters to try to let your guard down, let other people scare you, see how it feels from the other side, and that'll also help your haunting and help you to move your character into different areas.
That's very interesting. I was going to ask you what your advice is for haunters. So basically, I presume, and you say you mentor. How long have you been mentoring other haunters?
A couple of years, maybe 3, 4 years. I've always, whenever, because I'm older than almost everybody else. So if there's younger people that come to me and ask me questions, I'm always thrilled to help them. But 17th Door, that's in right here in Fullerton, California. I've been working with them for 3 years, and I've been working with the actors in that and trying to mentor with them and help them. And the whole thing is my philosophy is a haunter haunts. You got to get out there. You got to haunt. You got to do it. When you get taken down, you brush yourself off and you get back in the game. You get back out on stage. You put all your tiredness, because most haunters have other jobs or go to school. You got to put that away from you, and just get back out there and focus on your victims. Try to see where you can bring them to with you. Focus on your character. Why is this scare working? Why does this scare work every third person? What is it I can do to pick out things from my scare that I can use again? And it's a lot of self-evaluation when you start working. What works? What didn't work? Hey, I'll try this. I'm always encouraging hunters, try something new. Everybody has a shaker can. Everybody has clicker gloves. That's all boring. Everybody can hit the wall behind you. Got it. Let's go forward. Hit the wall, but then do something, say something, interact with your victim, find a new way. I have clicker gloves. I've used it for years. Let's find new things. There's thunder jugs. Get loud in their face. Let's get quiet. Let's get creepy. Find a character that you want to use. Work within the parameters that you're given at your haunt, but try to push the limit. Try to expand it. See what kind of stuff works. And I've been watching some younger haunters and newer haunters, things that they're coming up with. It's fabulous. It's just so wonderful to see. And like I said, this is a time for haunting that's just getting blown out of the water. And I think, well, John's film, The Houses October Built, also another great haunted house movie. I'm sure there's other ones coming right behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great time for it.
It's interesting. I think this is the point that John made on the show a couple of weeks ago, that during times of uncertainty and crisis, Halloween becomes, and scary movies, and King Kong was released during the Great Depression, and so people really do we know respond, funnily enough.
Well, well, I know when I was working right after 9/11, it was a horrible time It was horrible in this country, especially for
Mm.
people like me from New York City. Terrible. And like I said, a haunter haunts. September 11th, I was working promotions in September for Not Scary Farm. So I was working during the day. It was really hard to get out there. And then by the time we started haunting, it was hard, but the gates were like just packed full of people that wanted to come in. I think it was probably our biggest year that year, or to date anyway. And people just wanted that fun and that release and that escape from what's going on in real life. And I think we're at that point again where people are looking for this fantasy world to come play with us. And us haunters, we're happy to provide that kind of release for you. So come visit us at Haunts whenever if you hear me talking about this, go to your local haunt, go check it out. You're going to have a fun time. You don't have to like scary movies. You're going to have a great time. You're going to get an adrenaline rush. You're going to scream. You're going to yell. You're going to have fun. Where else can you fall to the ground and scream? You can't do that in public, but you can do that in a haunt. You could just let yourself go and scream, and it's totally okay. You can't do that at the PTA meeting. They will be very upset at you. Can't do it at the supermarket. Not good. But come to a haunt and scream your head off and have a great time.
I'm thinking this is from Haunters, the movie, The Art of the Scare. That's what we love about you, Shar, or Haunter haunts. I'm guessing that's John. That comment's just come in. Okay, so we're 3/4 of the way through the show. Now, the next lady on your list is not a character I'm familiar with at all, and that's Carol Peletier, played by Melissa McBride from The Walking Dead. So talk me through a little bit about Carol Peletier. Tell me a bit about her character.
Well, I chose Carol, similar to reasons I was looking at Ripley. I wanted to find something more contemporary and something I watch all the time. And I am a huge Walking Dead fan. And yes, I do vote for the zombies a lot of times. And I look for really cool zombie makeup and zombie kills. And so I'm like totally into zombies, you know. But as the show goes, as the characters in the show, so I consider it a horror movie. So the characters in the show, the one woman that I really enjoy her performance so much. What a fantastic actress. And it's the growth of her character that really, really gets to me. In the comic book, because, you know, Walking Dead is based on a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
In the comic book, this isn't the same character as this actress has brought her spin on the character, and it's just amazing how they've continued to develop her. She starts off as the wife of a guy who we see right away in the first couple episodes, or maybe the first 2 episodes or first episode. She's being abused physically, emotionally. She could see she's a completely beaten up woman, in all ways, just terrified by her husband, who is a real monster. You know, he's being abusive to his wife and probably his kid too. Of course, he gets bit and they have to kill him. That's what happens at The Walking Dead. And this changes her by killing him. You see her with this pickaxe, and she's just going at it, like pulling his head apart. It's very bloody and gory. I like that kind of stuff. It was really something to see her change at that point, and almost like a letting go of her past life and accepting what has happened to her world. And then as she moves forward as a character, I mean, she has a terrible loss. She loses her daughter, which, you know, as a parent myself, the worst horror in the world, of course. But she takes that pain and she turns it into a way to survive. She's a survivor. She's like such a strong female character. And the part of her being female is not even important. She just becomes the strong character, a strong character in the story. And I don't think we ever look at her as a female strong character as much as a strong character. I love her growth. Her acting is just amazing, but she has times where she'll show her other side. Like there are like softnesses that she has that she'll relate with other characters, and being able to balance that and still being like the big badass of the show. I mean, when you see her get in there and she just, this is a woman that probably the only knife she's ever used before the zombie apocalypse was to chop carrots, and here she is with a bayonet or a shotgun or missiles or whatever she's using. She just adapts to the situation and just comes out on top. And again, something women have to deal with all the time. For whatever reason, they make bad choices. The only way to move forward in your life is put bad choices away and just move forward. See what you want, where you want to go with your life, whether it's in haunting or in any part of your life, and just move forward in your life and let the negativity go behind you and focus on positive things. I know that sounds strange coming from a monster, but that's part of the way I just look at
well, it's interesting.
Move forward.
I think it's a very timely piece of advice for people, and I think for creators as well. You know, we make. I was thinking about this, you know, today. You know, we all make mistakes. That, you know,
Of course,
it's called being a human being. You're going to make mistakes. So I remember on a Buddhist course I was attending, this a piece of advice this woman gave, and it was her self-realization. She said, "Just because I'm not perfect doesn't mean I'm rubbish."
oh,
And I thought, God, that is
wow.
just so good. It's something I, you know, whenever I, you know, because, hey, you know, actor, writer, filmmaker, God, you know, human being, get stuff wrong. And, you know, and you just think, oh God, I've done it again. When am I ever going to learn? Apparently, as I approach a big birthday, never. Apparently, trust me, you know, yeah. You should think, I've done
Own
it
it.
again.
Own your age. I love being almost 60. I can't wait to hit 60. I'm like, I want to go, I'm 60 and I'm doing this. No one else I know, very few people, let's put it that way, that's in my age group do what I do, and I absolutely love it. I'm really proud of being an old person. Sometimes I have to remind the kids that I'm working with, I can't really do that because I'm old. So crawling through things, it's not happening for me. Different kind of haunting, it's completely changed for me. I used to be that high energy, you know, pop up and thing. No longer. Age, of course, slows us down, makes us reevaluate where we are in life. I'm happy to be able to find ways of haunting that work with where I am right now in life. I talked about in Haunters. I've been injured. I get injured, but I usually bounce back. But I had one really serious back injury from a guest. So that's another thing that I have to deal with all the time is the pain that I deal with, day-to-day pain. But I could still find ways to do it. I limp a little bit. I'm going to do a character with a limp. Take what you have, use it, embrace it, go forward.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think you may know Disaster,
Do I?
based on yes, by another name, I suspect.
Okay.
You were
What did you
great.
say?
You were great during Christmas season. Will you be scaring with us again this year at the 17th door during haunt season?
Probably somebody that saw me during Christmas. That's really cool. This is the first year I ever did a Christmas haunt. I was really excited. I played Mrs. Claus, and I did a little bit naughty, a little bit scary, kind of creepy character. I scared everyone. I grossed some people out. I made them laugh. All good for me. 17th Door does work with me on different things. Like I told you, I have a back injury, so they created something that I could use during my haunt that worked great. It was an electronic chair where I actually pressed the button and I got to pop up out of this chair. It was a great scare. People just go, which I love before just coming up out of that scare. Will I do the 17th door this season? Probably. See what they got for me. It also depends on the kind of characterization, the characters that they developed. Obviously, I can't play young characters, and they do roles for specific characters. I played a teacher for them. I played a psychiatrist, all working like perfect with my age group and the way I'm haunting. Like I said, I just did Mrs. Claus. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what comes up. I would love to. Uh,
Cool. All right. Well,
depends.
we're coming towards the end of the show, so
Oh,
we've mentioned Hollywood Baby. It's amazing how fast this goes.
right. Well, it's so neat, so easy to talk to you. You know,
Thank you. Well,
you totally get what I'm talking about, which is awesome.
well,
One
thank you.
monster to another.
Uh, well, yeah, one monster to another. Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
What you mentioned Hollywood Baby Doll. You've mentioned you're working on a YouTube channel to share your tips on doing makeup and so on. Any other projects that you're working on at the moment?
The YouTube thing is also going to have some haunting stuff on it. Nothing that is signed up for, but I'm always looking for new projects. I have a couple things I'm talking to people about. My website, sharmayer.com. You can contact me through that. Even if you just want to say hi, that's cool. Um, I'm always looking for new projects. I'm hoping that Play Dead will come back soon because I would love to get back into doing that. The director is Teller from Penn and Teller, the
Oh,
magician.
right.
And I spoke with him recently, and he said they're still looking to try to get that going. And I worked at that at the Geffen Theater, and that was such a great experience. It's like the greatest show. And that's the show where I met Jon Schitzner, strangely enough. And
So
I
what is play?
scared him in that.
So what is Play Dead? What for those
Oh,
of us who
wow.
don't know?
What is Play Dead? Um, it's a one-man show. Todd Robbins is the one man in it, and it was written by him and Teller. It's an amazing show. Yeah, it's a one-man show, but a couple of us help him out, different things, bringing back ghosts. I play a character in it that's a dead psychic. He talks about serial killers, psychic. They do magic during the show. It's an experience. It's interactive theater, which is something that's really getting real popular here in LA. But I don't really like to talk about what happens in it. All I could say is it's where haunting meets theater, especially if you like things about. Todd tells true stories. He's an amazing storyteller. Holy cow, Todd Robbins! If you ever get a chance to see him, he's just truly amazing. Anything that he starts talking about, you're totally engrossed once he starts talking. So I was really, really lucky to get that part, and what a great experience that was. And we did that at the Geffen Theater, sold out 6 months. Great show. Producers are looking to revamp it. I would love to get back to that. So I'm crossing my fingers that gets started. Always looking for new projects. I just get on the horse and ride. See what's next, you know. Hollywood Baby Doll is really exciting to me. I'm like looking forward to getting going with that, and like I said, with my daughter too. So excited about that. Haunt season, I'll be haunting, of course. And who knows? Who knows what's next
Who
for me?
knows? Who knows?
Something will be next. Yeah.
Something will happen, and it'll probably be scary. Okay.
Uh-huh. That's for sure. That's
that
for
thing we're
sure.
that thing we're absolutely certain about.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't see myself going on TV and doing commercials for hemorrhoid cream. That's just not going to happen for me.
Well, you might at
Um,
Halloween. They're pretty terrifying. It's pretty
Buy this
horrifying.
product. I'm more interested in doing things that are, where I can explore the darkness within all of us, and projects that work in that vein. I'm not interested in obviously Shakespeare or anything like that, unless it would be doing something in the dark parts of it. That's where I like to play, and you know, like I said, that's
I
just a
can
fun
see
thing
you
for me.
standing on a blasted heath in Macbeth and quoting "Hubble Bubble, Toil and Trouble,
Hubble
Cauldron
bubble.
Stir."
Sure. That would be cool. Hey, you never know, maybe Shakespeare was the wrong pick, but yeah, I'm not interested in doing sitcoms, obviously, or stuff like, that kind of thing. More like, the dark, meaty kind of stuff. That's what I like.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
probably will just continue. As I get older, it gets harder to haunt, but I found ways to continue following this dark path I've laid for myself, and enjoying myself doing it, and meeting with people, and that also like to go on the journey with me, the same kind of path.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Shar, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much.
Nicholas, it's been an honor to talk with you. You have no idea.
Well, I wish you luck.
And you're such an awesome person to talk to.
Thank you.
Next time I come into London, I'm going to come take you out.
Oh, please do. Yes, absolutely. And next time I'm across in LA, I shall definitely look you up.
Would love that.
That should be fun. Okay, well, we'll say goodbye in just a few moments. Before I do, just like to remind people the next week, February the 11th, we're going to be talking with I'm going to be talking with Andrew Robinson. No doubt and we're going to be talking about 3 of his films that he cites as possibly being most influential. I've chosen 3 out of the 5 he gave me. By the way, and that announcement will be going out later this evening. Well, probably tomorrow. I'll try and get it out tonight. So please come and join me next week when I'm talking to Andrew Robinson. So something for Hellraiser fans, or Hellraiser, Star Trek. He's had a huge, long career. So we'll be talking about all sorts of things. So please come and join me next week. Shar, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you. And I just want to mention, if anybody hasn't seen Haunters yet, it's available on Netflix, or you can get the DVD. Just go to Haunters the movie, and John will let you know how to get it. But right now it's on the United States on Netflix, so you can see it, and then hopefully moving into other places to see it in Europe. But if you are interested right now, you can always get the DVD and go to Haunters movie and find that out. And thanks so much for spending time with me and chattering with me.
Chattering with you, yes.
Chattering with me. And thanks so much.
That's my pleasure. Okay, folks, this has been Chattering with Nicholas Vince. I've been talking with Shar Mayer, and next week I'll be talking with Andrew Robinson. Hopefully see a few of you there. In the meantime, I can't speak. I don't know why I bother. Bye.
Bye-bye.